My friends, today I'm going to be talking about, how do you overcome fear? Because I think that a lot of people ask me this question when I'm talking about chakras and alignment, and they said that we have constant fear of money. And then the question becomes as to how do we overcome this constant fear of money? So to do this, my friend, today I'm going to be like just giving you just a brief synopsis, right? Because first things first is that you have to understand that when you're looking at your own fears and insecurities, especially around money. So first thing you have to understand is that there are obviously there are seven main energy centers in your body called chakras. And when you take a look at these seven main energy centers in your body, there are each one of them have a different function or a basically that's where your emotions are residing. So think of it like there are seven different centers starting from the base of your spine, and then they go up. And as this happens, constantly up and down, the fear, because traditionally speaking, fear has been talked about as like, it's really, really scary for most people. Most people are like just trying to understand, okay, what's happening with me and things like that, right? But what transpires, when the fear happens, the fear actually resides in your very, very first chakra. So like when you take a look at what is called as a Mula Adhar chakra. Mula means main and Adhar is a base, right? So that's your main base. Now chakras are this what do you call it, chakra word itself according to Vedic text, in the oldest text written up in about 1100 to 1800 BC. That in that text it is described as a wheel. So there are seven different wheels in your body, and what happens is they turn constantly. They're turning, right? So think of it as like a combination of a lock. So when one of the first is on basically not unlocked, the rest of them are going to suffer, right? So as happens is constantly in human body, there is a movement that's happening that's constant back and forth and between your chakras, right? Your chakras are kind of going like this, if you will. So if you think of it, it's like in your car, if one of the wheel is not turning and there are spokes like this, then the other wheels are not going to turn. It's the same thing here happening in your body. So energetically speaking, it is a fear resides at the bottom of your base of your spine, and between your pelvis and your if you will at the base of your spine, right? So what happens is that it's constantly pulling you down. So now the fear of money is an interesting subject or conversation, because fear of money, money itself, like, some people find themselves, they get money, they lose it. They get money, they lose it. Some people find money, just can't seem to find money at all, right? Some people I've talked to or worked with as a holistic financial business consultant, what I found is that as you're dealing with money, right, they just can't seem to attract it for whatever reason. Or some people have abundance, like they attract so much of it and they constantly lose it. So it's kind of like up and down and up and down. And there is obviously every time you go down, it takes longer to go back up. And that's it. This is basically the trend that you see. Now, what transpires in this process is that we obviously in the practical world we say we create our own stories, right? But what we are really doing is we are not just creating our own stories. We are kind of creating a signature inside of us. So think of it as like in your chakras, like there is a certain chakras that govern you, and there are certain chakras that you flow by. So what happens is, I know for me, when I get into this fear zone, when I used to be, at least not at this point, but when I used to be in the fear zone, there's a particular pattern that I follow. I come from a very much heart-centric chakra, and I really love people who are just love everybody, if you will, right? And I really see you as a viewer. And so what transpires in this situation is that as you are looking at yourself internally, as I've observed myself, is when I'm stuck, I go from one place to the other, and then I just stay there. Then when I'm in the flow, there's a different way of flowing, right? So in terms of my flow is concerned, I go from a heart chakra to my second chakra, and then I start flowing from a different chakras. So if you're going to overcome fear, right, many times, manifestation, yes, is important. You can sit down and do meditation. That's one thing. and stuff like that. But what I find is that when you write, like say I was listening to a motivational speaker the other day, and he talks about, hey, if you want to overcome fear, one of the things you do is you write down the sentence, about like, how much money, let's say that if they were talking about money, and they say, oh, I always manifest, XYZ amount of money. And they say that I have blank amount of money. So it's obviously you're putting in present tense. But when you're doing that, what is actually happening is that you are not just ingraining in your heart chakra or, anywhere, if you will, right? In my case, it would be heart chakra. But if you are the kind of person whose primary, your main chakra is a different, chakra. So for instance, you might be the kind of person who is extremely creative, right? What you're doing in that is when you're writing your goal down like that, you're actually ingraining, that particular, the goal inside of the chakra. You're telling that chakra to get activated. You're telling that chakra to get to the next stage, right? But you're not, but from that point forward, what transpires is that, okay, you activated that particular chakra by putting that goal down. So let's just say that you said, I earn blank amount of money, right? And when you say that, I earn blank amount of money, okay, and I have a good friend who is just saying hello, hi, my friend, how are you? So, but that being said, when you are doing that, okay, when you are in that activation zone and when you're in the activation mode, when you activate that, then what is the question? So what happens is, for us, many times we write down that goal and then we go to this pattern. Like for me, when I go from a really, like come in a situation, and when I'm really depressed, what I find myself, or at least I used to, that I would go from my heart chakra to my first chakra, right? Now I'll talk more about chakras in different videos, so please go ahead and watch at the end of this video. You'll probably see a prompt that you can you can see, okay, and watch my next video about the chakras. But just so you understand, there are 7 chakras and it starts from the base of the spine. So now let's just go with the flow for the time being. So let's say if number 1 is the base of the spine, number 2 is the right under your belly button, right by your privates. Third one is right by your belly button. Fourth one is the heart chakra. Fifth one is your throat chakra. Sixth one is your Anji chakra, and then 7th is your ultimate bliss, right, the nirvanic chakra, if you will. So this being said, what I did in the past is that I would go from my heart chakra to my first chakra, and then I would just kind of get stuck there. And as I got stuck there, I would get myself into more, stuckness kind of a thing, and I wouldn't be able to get out. So when you're looking at money, right, it's the same thing. If you have too much debt, if you have too much, what do you call this? Too much, ups and downs going on in your life, or you constantly see yourself going backwards, or you just can't seem to attract money. What is transpiring that is you're kind of going in a pattern. So even though you might be a go-getter, or you might be meaning you're coming from your Manipura chakra, you're a go-getter, right? Or you might be a creative person, you're coming from your second chakra. But what's happening in that is that you go to that place. That's kind of like your go-to place to do the things you really want to do, right? So that's your first thing that you're doing. But from that point forward, where you are going is an important piece of the puzzle. Because what happens with me is probably happened in the past with me is probably what's happening with you, right? Because I got scammed long time ago, and it was just a bad situation. And at the time, it took me a long time to get out of that situation because I didn't understand this piece. So when you're taking a look at your fear, the first thing is, yes, write down the goal. It's fine. People say write down your goal, be clear about it, no problem, right? But understand where that goal is actually being ingrained. It's ingrained in your chakra, your primary chakra, your chakra where you reside, you belong, right? You could be a creative person, you could be a go-getter, you could be a grounded person, you could be a very communicative person, you could be very intelligent person, doesn't matter where you are, right? And then the longer you stay, the longer it costs you in that wrong pattern, if you will. So when every second I stay into my particular pattern, it's costing me money. So what I found is that my flow, right? So for me, the flow is heart chakra to second chakra to to Anja chakra to Manipura. Like I have a flow, right? That's my flow. And what I find is successful people who really learn how to eliminate fear is they ingrain, successful thoughts, patterns, whatever you may want to call it, into their main first chakra. And once you do that, you can get rid of fear like that. You can begin to get rid of fear like that. Then the second step is, okay, let's now take a look at your flow and where are you going? And once you understand those two things and you put this together, my friends, you can eliminate any fear that you have, whether it's financial fear or anything else. If you want to come out in the game of business and finance as in the courageous situation, my friends, pay attention to yourself, because the number one person that you need to love is you. And once you understand that, once you understand you, and you begin to understand how you are, who you are and how you flow, my friend, rest is a game changer. And of course, I have a quizzes and things of that nature on my website, financialchakras.com. Feel free to visit, okay? Be sure to go ahead at the bottom, subscribe, like, share, comment. I would love to hear from you. With that in mind, I'll come back to you live tomorrow again. Namaste, and thank you so much. And tomorrow, we'll be talking about chakras and what they are, and we'll go in details. Thank you so much.